Tonight, it's a trip to Iowa as Major League Sim Racing gets all set to go for its A-Open Series. Tonight, it's short track racing here on Precision Entertainment. Welcome everyone to tonight's coverage of MLSR. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Zach Case, who will be alongside. We're using cameras provided by Whiplash Sim Cams for this evening's racing. As we count down to green and prepare for tonight's festivities here, Zach, it's early in the season, and that means a stretch of short track races back-to-back at tracks similarly shaped.
Yeah, thank you, JP. Obviously, an awesome evening ahead here at Iowa, but just looking ahead to the rest of August, Richmond the next week's schedule, and then we go to a mile and a half in Texas to end out the month of August. But the biggest thing here, Justin, is this is going to be the fourth race of the season after tonight's showing. 8 races left before we head into the chase, which should be interesting later on.
It will be interesting, and it's going to be very tempting for a lot of the drivers with how things are looking. Of course, a few races into the points as well. See how the cut line looks right now. Pretty tight after a few races, to say the least, but we still have plenty to go. Joshua Wise is that bubble driver for the 10-race chase so far.
Yeah, just talking about the bubble right now, we're going to have 10 drivers make it into that 4-race chase. You got Joshua Wise in, Joshua Sonic in that 091, just 3 points out. You got Chris Echapar, 5 points out. John Williams, 7 points out. Even Corey Powell, 8 points out. So plenty of drivers that can move up and down through the point standing the rest of the season. And how about Zach Domer in the 014 for Great Lakes Racing, leading the way right now over Christian Barnes. And those two right now have been the class of the field.
Absolutely, and you'll see just with this track, which learned this when doing a bit of research. At one point, there was talks of doing an O'Reilly Series all-star race back in the 2010s. Iowa would have been that date when the schedule was jam-packed, when it was a series staple at the time, the Nationwide Series. But Iowa itself, many have described the drives like an intermediate this week.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just watching some of the iRacing officials over the course of this week and seeing some of the action over the past weekend in real life, I think this track, when I get onto it, I think it's an intermediate track. I forget that it's only 0.875 of a mile, and a lot of times when I get onto the backstretch off of turn 2, you hear the car bobble a little bit, you get that wheel spin, and that's what drivers are going to have to focus on all evening long. It's going to be that drive-off factor that's going to make the difference here tonight.
It's going to be an interesting night for our competitors as we prepare for this evening. And obviously, when thinking about things, what are some of the major keys, do you think, about Iowa as these drivers finish up their qualifying and get their grid all set for this evening?
Well, I just think overall, we talk about it week in and week out here at Major League Sim Racing. No stages at all in across all 3 of their family of series, and that obviously adds a layer to it with the fuel strategy. But in terms of tonight here at Iowa, I think one of those keys is that drive off that I just mentioned out of turn 2 and onto the front stretch off of turn 4. Corner entry is going to be very important, getting that car taken care of and getting it set into the center of the corners, and obviously not getting too hard on that right front. You don't really want to wear your tires out. That was a big factor we saw over the course of this past week, and especially in some official iRacing racing.
With that being said, it's time to head over towards our starting grid for tonight as these drivers finished up their qualifying and are ready to find out how things will roll. As you can see, Christian Barnes is on the pole tonight. He'll be driving the 27. Alongside him is Dallas Menace in the second position. Ethan Thompson's row number 2 alongside his teammate Adam Ramsey amongst your top 4. Top 6, that includes Jim Treat making an appearance in this series tonight for 0X. Then you also have Van Nice in the field, the 24 car. Inside the top 8, Zach Domer looking to try and see if he can pick up a victory off the top of the dome with Justin Bell in the field in 8th position. 9th goes to Joe Manella. You also throw Ronald Reeland up in the order in the 10th spot.
Yeah, moving on to the 6th row here tonight, Joseph Essenberg on the inside and 11. To the outside, it's the 57 of John Williams. Rolling off 13, it's Jamel Pogue in that 8 machine. To the outside, Mike McCoy Sr. in the 26. Starting 15th, it's the 81 of Michael Patrick. To the outside, the 14 of Jason McCook. Starting 17th, the 92 of Dustin Coggin. And to the outside there in the 7 machine, it's Scott Matthews. And rolling off, finishing out your top 20 on the inside in 19th. It's the 28 of Richard Wilson Jr. to the outside, the 31 of Dave Allen.
21st goes to Christopher Reel tonight. He'll start alongside Rod Essenberg, who will be in the order. You'll also throw in the mix Russell Marginiak down in 23rd with Gary May in 24th. 25th, Corey Powell's going to roll off from there tonight in the 13 now, with Dakota Sidrus down the order in 26. 27th goes the way of Joshua Sonic. He'll look to be trying to be fast as Sonic. Love is inside the top 28. And rounding up the drivers towards the tail, some of these drivers at the very back, near 8/10 back, include Ben Alstein. You also have John Edwards in the top 30. Rest of the order among some of the drivers to keep in mind: J.J. Pope, Chris Etchapar did not set a qualifying time tonight. You have drivers like Harris, Conan through the order. You have Jonathan Pereira looking to keep it clean. Joshua Wise has a drive-through penalty to start tonight. A part of 3 different drivers with penalties, along with Christopher Toppings and Etchipar. Robert Burke is in 38th, and that is your last page. And that being said, it's time to get ready to go. We're on the final pace lap. 180 laps on the distance tonight. These drivers, some of them talking about getting as long as 60 laps, depending on how long they save, Zach. It should be interesting on tires.
I definitely have to agree with that one. I think 180 laps is a long distance. It's going to be a lot of racing here tonight, but just maintaining the car overall. But I'll be excited to see how those 4 sets of tires get used this evening. No fast repairs, but JP, I'm going to send it over to you. You got the green, and we're going into turn 3 and 4 for the final time before we start this one.
Happy to have you with us for tonight's coverage as we prepare for green flag running, the entire field getting itself all set to go. We're happy to have you with us here from Iowa Speedway for MLSR. Green, 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 we're underway from the place where corn grows. Good start for the back straightaway. Manis keeping the pressure up on Barnes. But as you can see, a lot of people trying to get the second and third lines going. Usually hard to do with the pavement. A few are up in the walls.
They will get through lap 1, and a lot of drivers just trying to find their line right now, get some positions. One of the drivers moving forward right now is that 014 of Domer. Hard to the outside wall. It's the 5 and the 11.
Bell involved, as that brings us under caution. Our first yellow of the evening. Breland also involved, and there is a lot of scrambling in the back of the order as drivers try and sort out what they're going to do. That was a big hit shunt to the wall.
Yeah, there's plenty of car contact there. A right hook possibly. We will go back and find the replay as we sit under caution now here on lap 3. I just think overall you see the Major League Sim Racing replay coming up here. It's deeper, maybe inside the top 10, just outside the top 10. You see the 5 there on the high side, just gets loose. So actually no car contact at all. Maybe a little overcorrect from Bell in that 5 machine, and tags the 11 as well in that first take. There is Breland, and the 11 will follow along this time, JP.
Let's see how things were working here with the 5 initially, and exit, got loose, just overcorrected. That is a huge shunt. That also sees a couple others like Sidrus having to come down and get repairs done from that sequence. See this one final time here as Breland is a part of those down pit road from this.
Yeah, Breland just unfortunate bystander there, gets tagged in the right rear, gets put into the outside wall, and everyone able to avoid after that. Great job from the 36 other cars on track to slow it down, get out of the way, and make sure they let the 11 and the 5 sort out the issue there. And as we pace, Justin, I think the biggest thing now is you got a lap and a half in. We're going to need to settle in here as a group and as a field and just get set and get some laps under you, see what the pace looks like for everyone.
As they all pace around, sort of one moment here with the paint scheme side, as one driver apparently made a last-minute paint scheme change for this evening. Let me ask you this when it comes to Iowa in this facility in general. Obviously, this track has changed. Like, a lot of the footage you see is the old Iowa before the repave, which seen the top line. They are talking about repaving for next year in real life, where they will see the return probably of the top line with the full pavement. So, with that being said, your expectations for tonight and in turn the future with newer pavement in Iowa.
Yeah, JP, I just think overall, like, just a little history on myself. Like, I started racing on iRacing back in 2016, 2017, and that was when that repave wasn't there, right? You didn't see the fresh pavement down in that first and second lane, and you were able to go up to the top in a bunch of different style cars here in NASCAR, and it made for some great racing. Now, a lot of times, you will often see drivers love to hug the bottom, maintain their tires in those Goodyear Eagles, but you also see some drivers whip to the middle lane, even sometimes that third lane, and they'll shoot around on the outside, but it does eat up that tire. So you got to maintain really that speed, but also that pace that you want to find if we do get into a long green flag run. So that's going to be important as we go on the rest of the evening, as cars pace around and just get set, right? Everyone needs to get dialed in here and get set to go. But I think overall, Justin, until we get that whole repave taken care of here at Iowa, we're going to have to wait and see what the racing looks like. But a lot of it's going to be towards the bottom, towards that white line.
See that in the next moments or so as you take a look at some of the drivers here as they continue to get ready. You're looking on board with Manis. As you can see, he's going to set up on the outside as you see. We'll follow along with him coming up to the start. Pace car is off as we get things back rolling. We're happy to have you with us for tonight. Green, back underway. As you can see, gets himself back in line and a good start immediately for much of the field. Some three wide back there. Ethan Thompson a part of those shuffle.
Yeah, Ethan Thompson just trying to hold position right now, running in P6. He's got Domer to the outside. Domer will work around now. Fastest lap going to the 35 of Manis as they work onto the backstretch. And for Thompson, it's just maintaining that bottom line. You see Domer running that third line high in 3 and 4. Jim Treat in front of him in the 42. But for Thompson, overall, just continuing to maintain position on the bottom.
Yep, indeed, and we're seeing just how the gaps are starting to immediately grow a part of this field early on as Manis is a part of those now up at the front. Just took in the past couple moments because Ramsey has been able to shoot his way up to second also. All of a sudden, you have to wonder if Barnes has gone into save mode, dropping 2 spots in this matter of 2 sets of turns as we have a few more drivers shuffle in the order.
I mean, Christian Barnes is a very smart driver. We've seen it across all 3 series here at Major League Sim Racing, and he's done a solid job maintaining position up towards the front in those. And if I'm the 27 for Ideal Racing, I am definitely on the save mode, right? Let those 2 take off, go burn up your stuff, and overall, if you're the 27, just continuing to maintain a gap and save those tires.
Absolutely, and really, we know Barnes can do it. He's been good in our series that I've worked on, and so he knows what he's doing when it comes to this type of racing we talked about before. A lot of shuffling has happened back around here, by the way. This is where the pole seems to be really lining up. Well, Manis sets purple lap after purple lap. These drivers have been battling pretty hard and having some hefty squeezes by drivers like Treat for 10.
Yeah, Jim Treat, a new driver here for Zero X Sim Racing, making his debut here tonight in Major League Sim Racing action. And a driver I know very well just through the connections overall on iRacing, and a clean driver and a driver that's going to want to put up a good showing here tonight. Currently running in 10th, but has a driver that was inside.
Yep, that was a good send by Scott Matthews, actually, to get past him. Matthews able to zip by. That was for the 10th position there. Yeah, so all this is going on here as they all shuffle about and plan things out. It's obviously very early, but that being said, a lot of the field already seen a couple tenths of fall off. Here's the 90 machine working its way up to the order with its various paint scheme, trying to provide pressure for third.
They're doing a solid job there for the 90, just on the back bumper of Barnes there for the 27. And overall just maintaining to keep a gap. We'll see if he sends it to the inside. He does, so side-by-side action for third now, and as Barnes continues to go on the save mode. And if I'm Christian Barnes, if I'm in the 27, if I'm on saving, I want to let all these drivers go around the top, right? Make them use up their stuff and go the long way around through 3 and 4. We see Ramsey get out of line there, battling for the race lead.
Yes, indeed, and he's a little high, but as you can see, this 97 is not afraid to go right towards the top of that pavement and try and get the send. Look at that run he's built up here. Ramsey, looking for his first lead laps of the day, clears on by to the race lead.
Yeah, team ignition driver right there, the 97 of Ramsey looking for the lead. We'll see Manis come back to the inside, though. The 35 not giving up that easily in that Precision Speed Solutions entry there. But side-by-side action once again, the 97 doing a solid job maintaining the speed up front. And you see the 90 started working the picture here. 3-car battle for the race lead.
Good battling going on, absolutely, between these drivers. And we've seen Manis. Remember, you were talking about this when we were watching along last week. He just jumped in the sim for the first time in years about a week ago and immediately was competitive in this series. He's immediately turned it up even higher at start to start tonight.
Yeah, the 35, in terms of Dallas, has some IRL racing experience back in a late model, so obviously a wheelman in his own right, and we'll see if he can fend off Manella on the outside. The battle for P2 heating up, but Dallas definitely a solid driver and a good add to this roster here for the A Open Series.
Looks like his crew chief may have told him, back off, let them battle it out because the 90 wants to go for it himself. Here comes Joe going for the send for the race lead.
Yeah, Manella doing a good job finding to the bottom. He will go to the point here as we work on the lap 20. And I think Ramsey was able to get up to the front, and now he's seeing the tire fall off just 20 laps in. So those two cars will do battle. You see Manella just doing a solid job. Joe dialed in right now, I would say, in the cockpit.
And as you can see, I think he has one of those iRacing iCaution flags. I think that's the way to pronounce it. Been looking into that myself to make sure he knows, hey, there's a caution. Hey, there's a black flag, anything like that to keep him in signal right next to the mic and right in the eyesight.
Yeah, JP, good plug there, brother. I don't think they're paying us for that one, but good advertising. And Joe is just dialing. You see him talking to his team right now, talking to maybe his crew chief as well, and he'll get out to a sizable gap right now, 6/10 as they work on to turn 4. But overall, I just think, hey, I like the setup in the cockpit, and obviously it's working out for him.
Badness, meanwhile, you were talking about him a little bit. He's right now rolling around the 7th position early on in this one. And as we see things go, a few of the drivers definitely have shuffled a touch bit in the order. You can see him just trying to get the headlight out a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't talked about, JP, but we'll talk about it every time we go Next Gen Racing, is that dirty air. And you see the 24, Vadnais just working to the outside now on Thompson. Thompson in save mode on the bottom, and that's the strategy right there from the 98. Let the drivers that want to go, put them on the high side. Let them race, let them eat up those Goodyear Eagles. We'll see if Vadnais clears them down into 3 and 4. Looks like he will have the run there. Another driver making their way to the front, McCook. He is cooking right now in that 14 car. You see him just inside the top 10.
Yeah, good speed so far. His average around 24.8 right now, so there is a hefty bit of fall off. Like, for example, you keep an eye on what the lap times are. Some of these drivers are pulling. The last time by on the pylon, some are turning 25s. Ramsey's fallen off a cliff since losing the lead. He's now under attack.
Yeah, under attack is a really good word for it there. You see Vadnais go on the charge. Domer got around him for P4. So Ramsey in that team ignition entry falling backwards right now as we get onto a longer green flag run. And this field's going to start spreading out, JP. And without those stages that we talk about in real life NASCAR, we're going to start having lap traffic play a big factor and caution on the racetrack, actually.
Yes, indeed. We're under yellow. And we'll figure out where this came to play. I believe it was involving the 64. And yes, indeed, he was driving slowly per the notes. Let's see why.
We head on to the backstretch. This is down into 3 and 4. Another Ideal Racing sponsored card there. It looks like he just got a little too much on it, and that's their tire spin there, 20 laps in, and
Yeah. And
looks like he saved it.
But it got worse a few laps later, per the caution note. Time we got into the yellow flag hearing. So a few of the drivers obviously getting a little bit slick out there, to say the very least, when it comes to loose conditions around this track.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing right now, just overall in general. You get 20 laps in onto a tire set, and there it is. Good job, JP, able to find it. It's the 81 there. Patrick, hard into the outside wall. Unfortunate for him. Looks like some toe link damage as well. Heavy punched in nose there. We'll see if the 81 can continue. But JP, we talk about it, right? You get on that long run overall, and there's the car contact there down into turn 1 and 2. We'll hopefully get back to live action here as pit stops most likely happening down on the racetrack. And I think the biggest thing, JP, I talk about it. I'll take the strike 1 there for the commentator's curse. We were getting into a long green flag run, and that's the point where the tires will fall off if you're not saving.
So to answer your question, the pit stops were about 17th on back, and Barnes was the first in that mix. He took fuel only. A lot of people took fuel only. The first to take tires was Ethan Thompson, believe, in the 98 machine. And now, as they all group back together here, obviously you're going to see a mixture of strategies. Ramsey also well down the order. I think he may have got speeding also. A lot of different factors piling up into one certain mark here.
Yeah, and obviously the first caution, or second caution we've had, but the first time we've seen drivers down on pit road. And this is a long one, JP, in terms of entry to pit road, down deeper into turn 3 or turn 4, right before we even get onto the front straightaway in that tri-oval, D-oval configuration. And then pit exit, you'll see the 91 go all the way down here. He has to get all the way down into basically the middle or entry of turn 1 before he can get back on the loud pedal to get back on the racetrack. So some long pit stops in terms of getting on a pit road, taking your service, and getting off.
Indeed, and you see some of the drivers still finishing up their services. In fact, you have Joe Manello getting ready to control this field as we get ready to 1 to green. Then it's Maness going to be up in the order, also joined alongside Zach Domer. Van Ness up in the order, McCook. Look at Sonic. He's been able to jump up to about 6th or so as a result of pit strategy. You also have McCoy, the 10 of Essenberg, Joseph's car, I should say, up there. Jim Treat, Argeniak amongst those who have decided to stay out here and hope for more strategy, if you will. It's still early, and as you can see, a few drivers actually taking the time to top off here too, Zach. Fuel, gonna be a talking point as we go on.
Yeah, and we talked about at the top of the show the race analysis from the precision math guys, right? And it was 55 to 65 laps. So there is your margin. You see it pop onto the screen there, and that's going to be important all night long here as we get ready to go back green.
All set to get back going here for the restart. Let's see how this goes as they make their way to the restart zone. From the fan cam, this is From the Stands. We're back underway. Clean start up at the front of the field, and the 90, as you can see, able to get a good takeoff. Some get themselves out of pit road. You can see just how much the work gets on to try and pull away from drivers like McCook.
As they work back onto the front straightaway. And overall, I think the biggest thing is just maintaining your stuff. And last time at Auto Club, we saw drivers take tires, take fuel after that first pit stop and had to work through the field. And it's all about patience right now. Getting through those cars that do have those older tires and just maintaining your own set, just keeping your car in a clean condition.
The battle for 4th heating up pretty well in the mix here. Throw drivers like the 24 and the 091, a couple others, all battling pretty significantly close to each other here. You see some of the gaps starting to pile up early on in this one. The first major side-by-sides. Get to go back to John Williams. He was the first out of those who got through the pit so far.
And he's working
trouble! There goes the Sonic machine. Sonic taking a slide to the inside, and we're still green.
Yeah, what a save there to keep it pointing in the right direction. Obviously, we'll lose a boatload of positions here. Drivers keeping it forward in the right direction. 3 wide racing back towards the back as the second half of this field just trying to manage all the other drivers on track. We talk about 38 drivers making the call here tonight. Here is your replay, though, for Joshua Sonic. This is on the back straightaway, so he's going to lose the car out of turn 4. So we'll let the 91 and we'll see one driver, Badness, actually a little bit of car contact with McCook there. But as they come on to the front stretch, a little tag there from the 24. The 91 able to save it. What a drive there from the 91.
That as a result, sees him well down the order. You can see him trying to fight right now, running about the 20s, give or take, as a result of that situation. Zach Domer, meanwhile, has been able to jump up to second off the jump so far. He is pushing ahead in the 014.
Yeah, JP, and he's pushing ahead thanks to his save there in the opening stint. So obviously saving some tires. You see the view out of the front windshield. The 90 next driver in front, that is your race leader of Front Row Joe. So we'll see what Domer can do here as they work on the backstretch.
See how much they're digging, and that ends up doing its own thing. What it was trying to showcase is this difference, if we can, as right now you see 24.5s for the both of them. They're pretty identical on pace at the moment.
And that really comes down to those Goodyear Eagles, right? Both drivers with plenty of experience in this next-gen car. And as you see, they go down into 3 and 4, and they're able to wrap that white line. And you see Vadnais now coming into play as well, back in third. All 4, basically the top 4 right now, all under a blanket, just maintaining their stuff. We'll see if Williams goes for a send here. He elects to get back in line. But JP, it's just maintaining your stuff and maintaining your position.
Yeah, right now, that 57 is already to third on strategy. All you can say is tires are big, and we're seeing that right now when it comes to the 57 right now.
Yeah, Williams trying to go back up to the point as he continues to work around the 014, the Great Lakes Racing entry of Zach Domer, your current points leader heading into this contest like we talked about in the pre-race show. But for Williams in that 57, plenty of speed. The Georgian Co. heating and cooling entry, trying to get to the race leader.
Here we go, as you see him on the poke. He's gonna make the pass. Side by side for the lead. And he does zip on by. Williams up in front.
And that's really a good display, JP, of those tires that you were just talking about.
Exactly, and now there's a chance for him to run away a little bit here. Next up on the tire strat, you have to go back to Ethan Thompson. He's right now pushing pretty far so far. Let's see how things look here, as right now, obviously, if you're Thompson, trying to keep things conserved, but the caution's out.
Yeah, did you see the one driver there, JP? We were on board with Thompson, and we had a driver looked like parked there up in the upper grooves of turns 1 and 2. Sorry to cut you off, JP, but I was just shell-shocked there.
See what happens. That is why. And we'll get a better look here, as that is Breland who goes around for the caution. And he was there for a while. That was more than 20 seconds delay there. Let's see this here. Oh, my goodness.
Overcorrect there. Once again, Breland involved in the first caution earlier on in this one on lap 2. So probably had some damage, unfortunately. We'll see a lot of drivers, though, come to pit road under this replay. The leader being one of them, and Zach Domer. But back to this. You see the overcorrect. Starts to hang. Boom. Right. Boom. There's the wall. It's just boom, boom, bam there for Breland. And unfortunately, the motor definitely has some damage there.
As you can see, he's one of the drivers now peeling down pit road. Everybody trying to take their service, if you will, as we go about here. And you can see everyone's going to be working hard to get into the boxes for the most part. A lot of these drivers are in the midst, though, of staying on the track, like Wise, like Williams, and so many others that took the gamble in the last caution.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing now. We're going to have a caution here, I would say, roughly 10 or so laps, maybe a little bit less after that second caution that came out. So now some alternate strategies coming into play here at Iowa. And JP, this is when it gets fun.
Yes, it does. And all you can say is we get ready here pretty soon for more. You have to wonder what some of the drivers who came down and were up at the front are probably thinking here, Zach, to say the very least, I think.
No, I think overall, why not? Let's talk to one. Let's go find Front Row Joe. That's Joe Manella doing a solid job leading the way earlier on. He was one of the drivers that brought it down. And hey, Joe, it's the boys up in the Precision Entertainment booth. You got a copy?
I sure do.
Hey, brother, you were doing a solid job leading the way. We saw the tires start to fall off. You bring it down pit road. What's the strategy now after pit stops?
Just gonna try and stay out of trouble. Be patient. You know, these short tracks, it takes a lot of discipline on the throttle. You don't want to get on too early, or else you're gonna push up into the wall. So, just gonna be patient and try and stay out of trouble and see if we can't work our way back up to the front.
Well, the best part is you call it a short track, you call it an intermediate, whatever you want to call it. How does this track drive right now for you?
So, man, it's hard to tell. I'm a little bit loose on entry to 1, which is manageable, and then a little bit tight center off in 3 and 4. So it's just I think I'm going to start searching around for grip here as these next set of tires wear in, and see if the track doesn't widen out any.
Well, we'll let you get back to it. Maybe go drive that car back to the front row, okay? We'll talk to you later.
Alrighty.
And that was Front Row Joe, JP, doing a solid job here tonight. We'll send him back down to the Revolution Racing Group. Him and Gregory Vadnais, the 2 drivers, making up that team. And JP, we're almost ready to go back green.
Absolutely, and you see some of the stints right now. The differences, you're talking about 18 laps or so for those in the front of the field on tires. Zach Domer just so happens to be the first of those in the order. As we get ready for the restart, this time by. Almost set to get back underway as the entire pack gets itself ready to go zoom down the front straightaway. It's been an interesting night so far for those tuning in. Right now, 45 laps complete. When we get to the stripe, let's find out who gets the edge here on this restart. Back underway. Good start for Williams, obviously, but look at this in the heart of the field. Look at McCook going 3 wide, and drivers like May up the track. Caution's already out.
Well, JP, cautions breed cautions, and we see that now as everyone slows down and gets back in line. Couple drivers, though. Corey Powell involved in that 13. We'll see the pace car come on through. That's the 5 machine also involved in this one. Looks like that is real. So car contact prior to this, but Real, one of the drivers involved, will go back to the restart and see what Christopher Real sees in that 5 machine. A couple 5s on the track here tonight, but he is that true number 5, so we'll see what it looks like for him. A couple drivers making a send, and there's the car contact there. Corey Powell gets sent up the racetrack. And it looks like maybe the... JP, you got a number on that?
Yeah, that would be J.J. Pope's 82. And Toppings also with a good dodge. Let's see this again from Toppings. I think he got a good view. And as you can see, had to park for 1 and look out. I think he still scraped the 2nd and still had to dodge a 3rd.
What a drive there, JP.
Yeah, talk about slalom course, if you will, as we try and get to the live action here. And all you can say to that end, Zach, is you gotta figure out a way to dodge when trouble's in front of you, and that's one of the main things. Keep in mind that driver does have a special paint scheme here tonight. As we look to see how things queue up in the pace line, Toppings down at 26 at the moment. Obviously, for the 43, it's a bit of an emotional time for him. Was talking with him before tonight. His grandmother died of Alzheimer's about 2 years ago, and this is a special paint scheme in reference to his grandparent, representing Alzheimer's and looking to end Alzheimer's, going with the purple look tonight in the 43.
Yeah, definitely a special scheme there, and a very important touch for him personally, and to everyone, obviously. Whenever that's the case, it's obviously a tough way to deal with some things, but obviously just remembering his grandmother for all that she was for that family and friends, and it's very special, and it's touching to see him put the purple and black scheme together here tonight for that 43.
Indeed, and as you can see, some new drivers, as we look around, are up to the front too. Look. Coggin, he's been able to jump up to second here, one of the ideal machines, Zach.
Yeah, a new driver hopping into that 92 for Ideal Racing, and he's done a solid job. A nice paint scheme, too, with that pink 92 on the side for Ideal. And another driver that's newer to the series here, just 4 races in here tonight. We'll see what he can do as Williams will elect to go to the bottom for this restart. But just overall, another driver, add him to the roster, and the roster continues to grow here for Major League Sim Racing, and it's good to see the drivers here on iRacing wanting to get involved in something special here, and it's pretty cool that we get to call it here in Precision Entertainment.
Definitely is. We have a lot of broadcasts afterwards here on the network. Remember, Tuesday, MOSR hits back to the racetrack for trucks. That will be on the 18th, 8 p.m. start. Moonshiners returns at Richmond. Big track for some people, part of that organization, on the Wednesday. While Thursday, MOSR is at Richmond themselves for the Be Open side. Don't forget, Precision Speed Solutions Cup Series, a part of the Universal iRacing Series. They have a full distance race at Phoenix. It's an 8:30 start estimated for that currently later on in the week. We're coming up to the restart. You can see the stint still on your screen. A lot of those in the 20s still on tires. We're back on our way. Already off to a good start, and immediately drivers like Ramsey trying to take advantage to jump their way to the field.
Yeah, Ramsey doing a solid job in that 97. 3 wide action, though. Here comes those fresh tires. 4 wide, almost on to the front straightaway as McCook keeps it pointing in the right direction. That's Manis on the outside there in the 35.
Manis trying to zip himself around in the 35, and some more contact. Treat a couple of those on the slide through. Believe everyone made it to the corner. No cautions, despite the fact you see all those drivers back there start to stagger out a bit.
Yeah, the battle to get into the top 10 right now, the hottest on the racetrack. Here is the onboard with Jim Tree trying to work around the 99 of Echapar. He'll go bottom of 3 wide, send it into the paint. You see one driver out of line further up the racetrack. But for Jim Tree, doing a solid job getting around through some traffic.
I believe that was John Edwards who decided a wall ride at Iowa. What is this, 2021? That was an interesting line there, and he, I think, kept it clean here. Look at the tower view. I think avoided damage from that line.
I mean, that Ally machine looks pretty clean, and JP, I'm going to put that in my notebook personally. I might have to try that out later on here on iRacing, but we'll see what Edwards can do here in P8. One of the drivers falling backwards as the new tires work into the picture. We see Domer there, you see Manala in that 90, and a lot of drivers starting to swarm that 48.
Yeah, and they're not playing easy for him to get around here. Look at this. See the Sens going right up the inside line with Domer now under attack. Wise went up the circuit this time. Treat going backwards the wrong direction on his respective stint. Mind you, could get interesting for the race lead in a moment, because guess who's the first to get through on the tires? Remember Manis? He's right there, ready to battle as high as second.
He's going to find that second lane as he works alongside Thompson in that 98. And Manis showing some more speed here tonight. 56 laps into this one. He'll try to go to the bottom of 92. He'll get him a little bit loose. Side-by-side Dorbane action on to 4.
Well, that got physical. Look at Poe. The 8 trying to go. There are multiple cars in this. 3 wide for a moment. Still 2x2. Manella's now joined on in. Domer's trying to pass it all. This has turned very frantic all of a sudden, to say the very least, as you see from above.
Yeah, there is no tire saving right now. 3 wide action onto the front straightaway. You see plenty of drivers checking up for each other, but 3 wide once again. Domer on the top trying to make everything work. You see Coggin there in the middle in the 92, and on the bottom that's Thompson as they work their way through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, some pretty significant battling here. All that's to say, Manis got through it all and is ready to pounce here You can see already, look who's gone in ahead of him on the strategy, though. It's McCook, who's now up to second.
Well, JP, I like to say McCook is always cooking, and he's up to second. Williams starting to drive away right now. The difference 7/10, but McCook is closing in that 14 there. So we'll see what he can do later on as he works through turn 3 and 4, running that second lane right now and gathering up some speed for the front stretch.
Yep, he's going to have to dig pretty hard because it's 6/10 to get up to the next car. That's a little ways up the road, obviously. You see right now from just how much needs to be gapped up. This is a fast track after all at Iowa, and right now that 14 struggling to close the gap, but the caution is out. It doesn't matter. We're back under yellow.
Back under yellow once again here, working on to lap 61. We'll bring out the pace car. You see the lights lighting up on the track right now on board with McCook. We will find you a replay here shortly as we wait for everyone to settle back in behind the pace car. A good solid run there for this stint. We'll see what drivers elect to come down. Here is your replay for Major League Sim Racing. JP, looks like it's a little deeper in the field.
Yes, it is, and you see Sonic on the outside, and they're already shuffling. This is where drivers like Edwards went to go. Then the signal was to drive slowly. Right there is why.
Yeah, that's the 091 of Sonic involved with this one. The 28 of Wilson Jr. also there. And I just think overall you're going to watch this going down into turn 1 on board with Wilson. He's going to get in a little hot, and actually doesn't even get in hot. It's one driver going around. That's Marciniak in the 12 in front, getting loose. And the checkup there and the initial reaction just to try to get out of the way, obviously causing that car contact with the 091.
As you can see, Lucky Dog zipping its way on the outside as a result there. That will be one of the 5s that is real. It's coming up on top of it, and we do have a couple, I believe, did peel down. That would include the 92 and a couple others that are indeed taking the service right now. Patrick's still down pit road for damage repair. And obviously, this is, again, part of the roulette. We still have, we're not even at the halfway mark. We're 30 laps from it.
Yeah, 30 laps before we do hit that halfway point for tonight here at Iowa. But I think the biggest thing is you only have 4 sets of tires down on pit road. So if you are a driver that's starting to take tires every caution here, you're going to run out of them quickly, JP. That's my math on that one. So I just think overall you're going to have to make sure maybe every 2 cautions, every 40, 50 laps, you're going to come down and get some tires, try to save a set for the end. And I know some of the front runners here in this A Open Series, they're definitely thinking about that one.
See the stints. One of the drivers you did know, John Williams, said, you know what, I'm going to bolt on a set. Eventually, it's going to get harder and harder to keep your set on the car, in that if you get so many short runs and you take so many sets, you're going to run out of sets.
But yeah, JP, that's the biggest problem, right? iRacing only gives you 4. That's all you got. Maybe JP, if my math is correct, there was a set on the car, correct?
Yeah, that includes 4 total tire changes, according to the sim. 4 total sets available for the drivers. So, in theory, you have 4 lefts, you have 4 rights sets, essentially. Once you burn through those, you're done. And a lot of these drivers, many of them have only come down 1 time in a couple cases because we've only had so many runs, but some are up to 3 pit stops in the 20s.
And that just comes down to damage, JP, fixing that optional damage, maybe getting a meatball here and there and just maintaining the car. We saw that with Breland, right? He got into car contact on lap 2 and then brings out the caution a little later on in the show just because of the contact he has. So if you could keep the car clean right now, I would say that's the best thing, right? We're not even halfway yet. So it's going to come down to how clean can you keep this race car as we get later and later into this race.
Coming up on the restart. As you can see, McCook, part of those on the older stints. First on pit stops. You got to go way down the order to the 20s again. We're back underway. Good start for McCook. You can see Manis already trying to clear Domer. Believe does, yes. Off to a good jump to begin things off here up at the front of the field, but obviously some of those drivers down the order going to get into a midst of traffic jams. You see some of the drivers already 2 by 2.
Yeah, Matthews trying to go forward in that 7 machine. That Chevy hooked up onto the 2nd or 3rd lane here in that new asphalt that got put down in turn 1 and 2. He's to the outside of Vadnais in that 24. He will try to get in the hunt for the top 10 as he currently rides P11 right now. Deeper in the field, though, Thompson in that 98 trying to work in the forward in the right direction. He's currently P16. There's his onboard, one of the coolest ones I've seen here in Major League Sim Racing, with that graphic added to the background there, and he's dialed in with those hand controls, something we talk about every so often, is Thompson using some custom hand controls on that wheel.
Yeah, it's working out pretty well for him. He's been one of the first drivers just about every single cycle who have pit. He's done a good job getting through the traffic initially, at least. See how some of the traffic is not making it so easy with the way they're bobbling and weaving through some of the lines, and a bit of a squeeze to the outside also.
As he gets a little loose there out of turn 2. Maybe got a little nervous that we were on board there. We'll let him settle back into that one. The 48 on the high side, that is Edwards moving the wrong direction. You see Williams also coming into play in that 57. Back up front, though. The battle for the race lead heating up. It's a 3-car battle right now, all under a blanket. Make it 4, maybe 5. McCook leads the way there in the 14. Manis is there on the scene, but here comes Manella. The send down to the bottom. 3 wide action here at Iowa.
3 wide coming off the corner. Which driver gets the edge? This time the 35 gets the lead lap. But right now, Manis, Manella, both of them on the tempo, trying to find a way to clear. It's the 90 who gets the edge up in front.
Yeah, Manella doing a solid job getting to the bottom, getting down to the white line. He will paint it here through 3 and 4. Manis in search of some clean air on corner exit. Front row Joe, we just spoke to him earlier on. He's back on the front row, leading to the point right now on lap 70.
You know, don't look now. You know, the taxi driver in the field, that being the 23, he's on the move too, just about in the battle for 3rd. William Van Alstyne, the New York City taxi driver. Been on the service for a fairly long time, known for his yellow paint schemes. He's looking to bring that scaly New York taxi machine up to the front.
I like what you did there, JP. That was good. I think overall, if I was driving a taxi in New York City, I would take that skill and put it right to iRacing, and it's showing right now running P3. That 23 machine gets in the wall a little bit on corner exit of 2, but points it in the right direction. Car looks clean once again, but that Toyota is hooked up right now. We'll see if he has anything for the top 2.
Yeah, that's a good question right now. Here's a comparison to the leader. He was a 10th quicker the previous time, so he is picking up the tempo here. So, it's, as you can tell, though, it takes a lot of work to do lap after lap, and you can tell some of the others are getting into some fierce battles here, like Domer, like McCook. Caution is out. It doesn't matter. We're back under yellow again.
As it looks like the top 10, maybe JP all pointing in the right direction. I'll let you break down the replay. You're the man that always goes and finds it, so walk me through this one.
Well, let's put it this way. Remember, Sonic's had issues off the corner. He had issues this time, and this time he couldn't save it. And here's the thing, of the 4, had also towed multiple laps down. You can see he peels back on the racetrack. That's your caution.
Yeah, Sonic in the 091 there for the A Open Series. And if you can do it once, usually you get lucky. Try to do it again, though, and it might bite you. And he had too much drive off, too much throttle input in those rear Goodyear Eagles. And for a guy like Josh that's trying to get back up to the front, well known for running at the front, but now needs to put the race together. And unfortunately here tonight, 75 laps in, drivers getting to pit road. But the biggest thing for the 091 is just maintaining stuff and keeping it pointing in the right direction. JP, is that a Hot Lap 3D logo there on that 35? I think I saw it there.
Are you trying to plug yourself again?
I'm not. We can move on. I just had to mention it. I get excited every once in a while when I see the logo, but man, it's off and away, doing a solid job there in the 35. And JP, just something note. You got a plug earlier. I thought I could plug something here, but probably get yelled at, and you might not see me come Tuesday.
You're on a rear-wheel track Tuesday. There's a reason you're not there Tuesday.
There's a reason. There is a reason. I wish I can be for the truck series, but it's in good hands, brother. It is.
Manella, by the way, was the first off pit road, took 4 tires. That this time puts Ethan Thompson up front. So, As you can see, Williams again on the roulettes up front. Richard Wilson Jr. has been interesting so far. Why don't we dial in that 98, shall we?
Yeah, let me go find him. He's down there in the Team Ignition channel. And, hey, Ethan Thompson, it's the boys up in the Precision Entertainment booth. You got a copy?
Hey, got you guys.
Hey, brother. Well, we were just on board with you earlier on. You were able to slip and slide out of turn 2 and get a point in the right direction. Now you're the race leader here as we work on to lap 76. What's the biggest thing for this restart?
The biggest thing, I think, is just going to be the guys that are on the different strategies and just the tire wear. That seems to be the biggest thing with getting through traffic. There is a huge amount of fall off here at this track today. So it's just going to have to be patient with anybody that may have newer tires than me if they get up here, and just trying to not burn my stuff up too much, trying to potentially fight a battle that you can't win.
Well, we'll let you fight those battles. I got one quick question for you. We're in Iowa, big place in terms of corn. Are you a corn guy at all in any way?
I definitely am.
Okay, so we like the corn. We'll take a +1 there for corn. I'm going to send you back down. Go get ready for the restart.
All right, thanks, guys.
As Ethan Thompson works from the inside of row number 1. And JP, every once in a while I come to Iowa and I just think of corn on the cob, and that's what I'm thinking about right now. So I apologize for that fun fact there.
I mean, that's one of the major puns. You could also talk about the Field of Dreams and having the stars align and come out of the cornfields to be able to play or race the top game or top track you can in the state. That actually just happened in the past couple of weeks with the Field of Dreams game in real life. But still, we're at lap 70 at this time. What happened to Williams? He just spun the tires. So concerns there for the 57. Look at some of the 3 wide on board. This is with the 57, and Williams is losing oodles at time sack.
Yeah, Williams going backwards.
Caution.
And one driver, caution on the racetrack. One driver I was just about to mention, though, Christian Barnes. Where did he come from out of the pit strategy cycle there? The 27 back up to P2. But we do have caution on the restart here. Just 1 lap in after the initial restart after that caution. And we'll break it down. The good news is we get the caution and John Williams can settle back in P4.
Puts us under caution as we'll have to figure out where this came about. Again, right off the restart, off the rip. And I have a feeling it involves the driver with some black text to the 7. It's already had some issues. Let's see if that is part of the issue. Caution going off the 7, as you can see. Try and get this gathered up here. But all you can say is, well, obviously that's the start, but this is towards the back that would cause the issue. It was right immediately afterwards. You see some black flags pop up here. By this point, caution comes on the speedway. And as you can see, everyone's already slowed up. And that was down the back straight away as a result of some of the chaos, and it was McCook.
Yeah, Jason McCook involved in that one. One of the drivers that just brought it down pit road for some service. See another driver there parked on the inside wall earlier on. Yeah, but there is McCook there sliding the rear end. Plenty of drivers involved. The 25 of, I think that James Beard there also involved. So plenty of drivers as they slow down and check up a little bit. And here it is, the onboard.
Yeah, remember, one of the drivers who just pit. Way too much pressure maybe on the cold tires, just lost the rear.
Yeah, lost the rear end there coming out of turn 2. Interesting, and we go back to a live view. We'll see what the 14 has. He will stay on the racetrack. So, obviously with the spin there for the 14, we'll have to keep an eye on those Goodyear Eagles that he just bolted onto the car. So we'll see what goes on. A couple drivers making their way back on the racetrack, though. as we work under caution once again. And I think, JP, the biggest thing is you talk about the stints. That's the biggest factor right now with all these cautions, is where will everyone cycle out and where will the green flag run come from?
Yes, indeed. And right now, Wise is the first driver that came down this caution. Not too many people came down this time. It was a short run after all. But Manella, keep in mind, did make his way up to 6th. There's been plenty of caution flags. It's been interesting if you keep an eye on the count here. Would have to do a rough count as a whole here, Zach, but we're almost at double digits.
Yeah, we're getting up there. I would say eventually these guys will settle in. We'll figure it out, right? But I think the biggest thing now is patience is key if you are behind the wheel of one of these next-gen NASCARs right now here at Iowa. Interested to see, though, how this top 10 really shakes out on the restart. You see Williams warming up his tires, one of the drivers that did not get a good start last time. So we'll see how the 57 fires. But how about that 27? Back up to P2. We have a Ideal Racing versus Team Ignition front row right now, and Adam Ramsey also in the picture on the bottom.
So here we go. Restart time. You see your stint still on screen. As the 27, remember, led laps earlier. Here in this one, take a look at the laps led. And remember, he only has led 8 of them. Thompson 7. 21 for Williams is actually the most so far up towards the front. 26 for Manella. We're back underway. And Barnes didn't get the greatest of fire off, but he's surely trying to find something. You see a lot of the 3 line working its way to the order as the back of the field stays steady this time. Battle is on for second.
Yeah, battle is on for a second here. It's the 97 versus the 27. They get really close there. No contact as they work onto the front stretch. Barnes on the high side, Ramsey on the low side. It's a Ford versus Toyota right now for P2. Thompson trying to check out from these two. Ramsey, though, going to get the lead up to second there on the bottom. Williams has his handful, though, right now in 4th. Plenty of drivers with some fresh Goodyear. They need to get up to the front right now, but the side-by-side racing for second, pretty good.
Good battle, as you can see, but Ramsey in the ignition machine on the send. See, the 90 is also cutting their way through on the fresh tires, so keep an eye on Joe. Let's keep an eye on him, in fact, because he is flying and doing so quickly.
Yeah, Joe Manella trying to work into the picture here. There is Echapar, new quickest lap, though. It goes to front row Joe with a 23.213. So the 90 in that Chevy 90 continue to work to the front direction. Manella doing a solid job. Will set his sights on the 57.
We're back under yellow again. And again, cautions breed cautions, I guess you can say. And I believe it might have involved McCook again. He was one of 2 drivers. The 8 was also slow. Let's see.
So the 14 running up into, gets a little bit loose. There it is, and overcorrects right into the 31. It looks like that's Dave Allen there. So a couple overcorrections here tonight, and that is definitely going to upset the 14 car. JP, another vantage point here going down into turn 3.
Just watch his onboard here again. We've seen this a few times. Then you can see Burke getting collected with the 8. That's why they spun around to the bottom. See this one more time. And all you can say is they're running out of race cars or running out of body parts if you think about it with all the contact here. You have to be careful. You can only fix so much with these cars.
And that's going to be hard contact there to the inside wall for Burke, who will come back up the racetrack. Couple drivers avoiding there. Good job getting through the wreckage there for the back half of the field. But you said it, JP. Eventually, if we were in real life, they would definitely run out of some body parts down on pit road. The good news is, though, we got plenty of time to fix it up. We'll see if we have any takers. No one right now inside the top 5.
Nobody really up at the front, actually, checking through. I think we're seeing the real limitations of the tire sets here, because I'm glancing and there is really no one really stopped in amongst your top 15 or so for pit stops. I think much of the field has kind of realized we can only use so many sets. We got to start conserving. We're at halfway.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, JP, is just overall, like, looking at what the track is doing and what is that track weather? I guess that's my biggest question. I haven't seen it yet tonight. I know it's a hot one here in Iowa, and there it is, the weather conditions right now. And that track temp, 117. So, JP, those are just going to continue, that heat's going to continue to heat away at that Goodyear rubber.
And obviously with the sunshine, you would have to consider, look at the time, it would have to have been higher, obviously, to start off the day. Let's take a look at the history. That's a good way to point it. You can see this curb. It's actually been about the same. Not too high, not too low. It hasn't really shuffled past 110 much.
Yeah, JP, I'm no weather analyst, but that's pretty consistent, I would say, in terms of temperature overall on track and in the air. And when you're in Iowa, we know it was hot this past weekend. You see the wind, though, only 3 miles per hour, so that's not really playing a big factor. But everyone doubled up right now behind the pace car. That front row, though, Thompson and Barnes. It's going to be interesting to watch how this top 10 really breaks it down. And where is the freshest Goodyears on track? That's the question right now. How long does it take them to get to the front? And do we see a longer green flag run here as we work on to lap 91 when we go green?
We'll find out together, shall we? We're almost at, if not already, at double-digit cautions after all. This entire field led by Thompson yet again. Barnes, Ramsey, Williams, Manila, followed by Echipar in the top 3. You can see this entire field getting ready to come up to here. Let's see how they fire off. Green, green, now green. We're underway. Good jump off the rip for the pack as already a lot of these drivers see drivers coming out of pit road and many more trying to go 2 and 3 wide. That is Burke joining up in the middle of the field. And the caution is out. Is that for Burke or is that for somebody else?
Well, JP, you're going to have to answer that magic question for me there up in mission control, but I think overall that 22 was slow on the back straightaway, and if he did come to a stop, we will see here on the replay. Looks like he comes out of pit road here for Burke and slows down to maybe wait for the field, I want to say, to let him go by, which is the smart thing to do, but unfortunately for iRacing, that means you will bring out the caution. So if you are going a minimum speed and you're on the racing surface, you will bring out the caution there. So if I'm the 22 of Burke, right, I'm just staying below that white line, keeping a good speed, and unfortunately he will bring out the caution.
Yeah, and the only other thought is look further back at our cars, right? Because McCook also came around pit road at the time. Yes, this is actually why he was slowing down. And in the 91, that is Sonic. He has not had a pretty night, to say the least. Sonic has here tonight, has he?
No, Sonic getting caught up in a few here, and I'll apologize to Burke. I thought he was the caution. Obviously, looks like it was in front. It was Edwards actually going around the 91, nowhere to go. Marciniak there in the 12, nowhere to go as well, and a few drivers piling in, but a punched in center there for the 91, and that's the 091, but Sonic will get a good shot here on the onboard.
Yep. Restart chaos is all you can say, right? It's been a constant tonight. So really speaking, puts under caution yet again. And as you can see, back to pit road for the 091 in what has been a rough one for him tonight. Much of the field staying out on the racetrack, and we'll take this opportunity, if we will, to take a little bit of a breather, why don't we? You're watching tonight's coverage here on Precision Entertainment. We're already past halfway for the MLSR A Open Series here this evening. More action after this. back, everyone, to today's coverage as we get all set to go for the restart here on Precision Entertainment. As you can see, the pack is ready. The pack is zooming. We're back underway. It's been an interesting night so far, to say the very least, Zach, as the field gets itself back going. Thompson's your leader, and a lot of those who have pit, well, it's kind of reduced more in time. Richard Wilson Jr. is actually the first on stops as everyone else continues to zoom. We've had a bit of precautions lately.
Cautions will breed cautions like we talk about, but these drivers look like they have pointed in the right direction for now. We'll work on to another lap here in through turn 1 and 2. You see the majority of the top 10 right now spreading out single file. Thompson, your race leader, Barnes, Manella, Ramsey.
Oh,
couple car contact there though, down in turn 3 and 4.
Let the taxi man get moved up there. Manis on the bumper. And the 23 gets shuffled. Domer responds by Ascend, trying to get alongside that precision paint scheme. Able to zip by easily. That is with the same stint on tires.
You see Thompson going to the fastest lap, a 23.17 there for the 98 for Team Ignition. You see Domer now in the top 5. Manis behind him. Essenberg, that's Jared Essenberg there in the 10. So we'll see how everyone in the top 10 continues to wrap the bottom. Another fastest lap, though, going to Christian Barnes.
Yeah, they're trading fast laps up at the front, aren't they? There's 3/10 separated between the two of them. You still see their stints on screen. Obviously, these three have seemed to be in a really good rhythm, strategy and decision-making wise. Barnes, though, remember, on older tires, same for Thompson, that 90's got a little bit fresher rubber. As they'll pass by lap traffic, that's Patrick going to stay low, force them all up high this time.
You see the battle right now at the front of the show. A couple lap cars also working into play, but 3 cars under a blanket right now. Front row Joe going to the bottom of Barnes. Side-by-side action going back to turn 2.
And we're back to caution. And it's going to involve the 45, it appears. He's already towed. Go under caution. Let's go to replay in a moment, as this is going to see the 45 Pereira. Branson are yellow as we'll try and go to that section. See right there, already bobbing the belt, and whoa! What was that about with Jim Treat?
Yeah, I don't know if Jim Tree got frustrated there, or maybe it was just a difference in how they attack this corner. We'll get in good shot here off the back bumper of the 45. A little loose there, and maybe Jim was trying to go a little bottom. Maybe he thought the 45 would also go to the bottom there. So I think overall, I think the 42 was looking to go to that second lane there, JP, and the 45 just stayed in that second lane. So unfortunately, the car contact came right there.
See this one more time. This is from Treat. I know they were close there. And then Ascend into the corner and bye-bye.
Yeah, I think that's just the difference in braking zones for both drivers might be a little difference on track there. And if I'm Jim, I think overall in my head, hey, the 45 is going to go to the bottom to the white line. I got plenty of time to get it settled in there in that second lane, but unfortunately, that's not what happened, and we have a couple drivers down on pit road, the 35 also bringing it in.
Yeah, you can see the service being taken there. That's going to change up their stints. We were looking at stints previous. And obviously, you're talking 40-plus laps here. A lot of these drivers, you can still stay out probably close to your fuel window here, but I don't know how close. You're talking needing to stay out right to the very edge on fuel tanks for those that are still on the racetrack. Manis is one of the few who came down here.
Yeah, you see Manis off and away there. A few other drivers getting service as we work under 60 laps to go here at Iowa. Plenty of drivers keeping it pointed in the right direction overall. But looks like a penalty getting awarded to the 42, as everyone will have to work around him. But JP, I think the biggest thing right now is we're just searching for that long run that we saw earlier on. And we'll see if we can get that here later into the second half of the race.
So Jim Treat getting the cause of caution, obviously, with that situation with the bumper, and a few of the drivers trying to figure out if they need to pass him, I think. But that being said, rest of the field going to wait as long as they can here. It's still plenty of racing time to go. If we stay green, it would be a 30-minute run if you want an estimate right now based on the timing. So obviously you want this field to stay green and clean, especially with some of the top talent we've seen come out to play. Basically, most of your drivers above the 3,000 iRating mark, if you count that metric, are up in the front at the moment, except for Jason McCook.
Everyone onto the backstretch. You see the 42 of Jim Treat going to tail end here for that EOL penalty due to the cause of the caution here for the rule book in Major League Sim Racing action across their family of series. It's going to be interesting, though. Thompson and Barnes once again on the front row, and Manella, Ramsey, even Domer, all 5 cars capable of going to the point.
All set to go for the restart. Thompson and Barnes lead him off, and we're back underway. See how quickly the field zips by Barney here at Iowa. Meanwhile, as the leader zips its way through, the 10 is amongst the first battles. Look at Barnes getting a little close there. A little bit dicey up at the start. You can see the 23 amongst those trying to get in the side-by-sides as they zip their way to 1.
Yeah, Van Alstyne right now running the bottom. The taxi driver trying to go pointing in the right direction, get through rush hour traffic here in Manhattan. Except it's in Iowa right now, and he's on the bottom end. 2x2 racing. Ramsey up on the top in that 3rd or 4th groove here off of turn 4, and caution on the racetrack once again.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. We'll sort out the reason here as these drivers all sort out. Pierce Jim Treat may have been involved again. There's one of the 2 drivers triggered, and yep, that would be why you're going slow, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it looks like the 14 of McCook once again bringing out the caution here. Gets a little loose there out of 4. He's trying to put the throttle down on corner exit. And at Iowa, we talked about up in the pre-race, JP. If you get up here in this dirty groove, the car is going to unload here. And he didn't even get there. He lost the grip on the transition to the new pavement. And unfortunately, will get caught up with the 42. But McCook not cooking in the kitchen right now on track at Iowa.
And again, it puts us under caution. And we do have a few stops, including for toppings here. Treat, and also Christian Barnes is a part of those who have peeled down here. So we do have stops underway for some of the drivers. Barnes took 4 tires and fuel. Not going to be in the window projected, but if we get enough cautions, this might get interesting. Might be good to figure out what his thought process is here, Zach.
Yeah, I'm searching for him right now. We'll see if I can find him. We got so many drivers in here using the Discord here tonight, and yeah, as I search for him, I think the biggest thing, there he is. We'll bring him on in. Christian Barnes, it's a Precision Entertainment boys up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
I think the biggest thing right now, we were just talking on the broadcast, we're looking at a fuel mileage situation of 55 to 65 laps. You think you can stretch it this far?
I'm sure there's probably going to be more cautions, but I don't doubt that within the next, maybe 30, 40 laps, I'll take another set of tires. I've only taken 1 set all the way up to this point, and I just took the 2nd set, so I still got 2 sets on the pit box, so just got to pick the right time to take them.
Well, don't give up all your secrets there, my friend. The paint scheme looks good, and the 27 looks fast tonight. We'll let you go do battle for the rest of the race. Good luck.
Thank you very much. See y'all.
And that was Christian Barnes here for Ideal Racing, doing a solid job here tonight. We'll let him go talk to his crew down there in their Discord channel. And JP, I think the biggest question is, you heard him, he's got plenty of tire sets left.
Yeah, obviously, he's been one of those that's minimized a lot of the stops, to taking some fuel only probably over the sequence of this race. He's going to have to try and avoid the trouble yet again that can happen up at the front. Talk about stints yet again. Mind you, we're talking some of the drivers, if you move up the order, near 50 laps, some of them in the 30s. You have to go down the order all the way down to 17th to find someone who just recently pit. That'd be Dallas Manis. Here we go. For him to see what happens to get through the field. You also have Gary May. You have Sonic. That's also on the same strategy. Then the freshest, good drivers like Barnes here. So there's a lot of moving parts again.
Yeah, plenty of moving parts and plenty of drivers looking to go forward and find some green flag racing. So we'll see if we get that here as we work on to 112 out of 180.
All set to go for the restart. We burned more than 110 laps so far. We have less than 70 to go. See the restart. Back to racing we go. Good launch, and Thompson's clear up at the front. Meanwhile, as they make their way out of 2, look behind at the swarm. Any spins? No, this time we keep it clean as we go to 3. Good start this time as the field tries to get into rhythm. Ramsey amongst those trying to pounce on the outside. He's trying to make some moves there in his 97.
Yeah, the taxi man also looking to the inside of Domer. No dice there as the 014 holds on to P3. Ramsey now back in 5th. The battle for first, though, you see plenty of drivers within a second. 8 drivers total right now. 3 wide action, though, on the front stretch. Everyone will get it sorted out and point it back in the right direction.
That's Brad Harris making up spots. Where has he been all night? Don't think we talked about the 67 this evening. So far, Harris has been mildly quiet, to say the least. Look at his gained positions.
Yeah, that paper cut entry in the Toyota Camry doing a solid job, up 27 spots. You also see the taxi man up 25, and even Love in that 3 machine up 20 right now. So plenty of drivers working their way through the field and on different strategy calls. We'll see if we can see what those tires look like and if they can hold on to that rubber.
And see how fast some of those on the newer tires get through. Remember, Manis is the first one who pit about 10 laps or so ago. Right now, he's got a few drivers battling up in front. That includes Poe, McCoy Sr. to get on by here, as it looks like he's going to attack that from the inside. As you see from the onboard, the lanes are opening, but he's taking his time. He's not rushing things.
Yeah, well, the good thing, JP, is does have some experience up on the crew box tonight with Alex Coffey working him through this race at Iowa. So we'll see how patient Manis is in this one. Barnes all over the back bumper, though. Plenty of speed there from the 27 as well. So the 35 and the 27 are going to be the drivers I want to watch here as we work through this run. We'll see how long they go. They go around a couple drivers there on the outside. They will slowly work their way up back towards the front.
A lot of drivers you can throw into that box right now when we see how much Manis is making it work here up on the outside as we go about. All this is to say Thompson can secure the lead and kept it, but the big thing is as they battle it out here, don't forget, as they make passes there, eventually something's going to happen here. With the Goodyear tire difference, this 90's been digging on pace.
Yeah, he's digging on pace and digging in the right direction, and that's moving forward 2/10 right now. The difference between those two drivers, you see the lap time there for lap 116, quicker than Thompson. So we'll see what the 90 can do, and we'll see if that changes here. 62 laps ago, looking at 61 now. And on the back bumper, it's front row Joe trying to get around Team Ignition entry Ethan Thompson as they work on the turn 2 and onto the backstretch.
Good battling a part of those drivers here at the moment. Nearly to the bumper, actually, this time. And so, with 40-ish to go in the action, this time through, next time through, I should say, 60-ish. Math is difficult sometimes. You can tell things are getting tight. The drivers on the strategies have now punched their way towards the top 10. Etchipar, he's going to need a caution pretty quickly. He's already at 60 laps on the stint.
Yeah, 60 laps on the stint, and 60 laps means you're going to start to fade here. You see the 35 of Manitz go to the outside here. You'll see Barnes follow suit, most likely in that 27. Caution.
Back to yellow. And yet again, cautions breed cautions, as we'll sort out the positions here as these drivers all slow back up. It's been that type of a night, hasn't it? Let's see if it's involving here. But Cook, I think, was one of those on his own in that sequence, and yes, by that point would have been out for the caution flag. But if you bounce around the field, you can see just how everybody was slowing up to make sure they were back to pace speed to put us under the yellow flag yet again.
Yeah, it looks like there's some damage, though, on a few cars deeper in the field. We'll see if we can find that on the backstretch. I want to say it's deeper there, JP, maybe top 20-ish in 3 and 4. I think it's coming back onto the front stretch here. A few drivers having some damage, but we will continue to search for that one under replay.
Yes, indeed, and at this point, to wonder what some of the drivers are thinking here. Obviously, a lot of people are going to take the opportunity to pit here, but another spin, another situation, obviously, that pops up here. Time to try one more time, if we can.
Here's Gary May in that 9 car. Always got a really good scheme there. So it looks like caution already on the racetrack. We'll see if we can find it. If not, that's fine. We'll go back and find it eventually. But overall, the biggest thing now is the tire strategy, right? You got drivers on 60-old lap tires, like you talked about with that 99, needing to pit. He does get his break. He will eventually bring it down pit road. So we'll see what we have in store for us. And also, JP, it could have been one of those situations of maybe someone towed a little too quick before we found it.
Yes, indeed. We'll take a quick step aside. We'll get that sorted. We'll be back in just a moment.
On pit road.
Here we go. As you can see, they're on to the racetrack, coming up to the restart this time through. Coming up to 54 to go after a caution period yet again, as someone at the back tried to work himself around, and we're back to racing. Obviously, things getting flipped again. Manitz staying out, but some drivers, like the 90, did pit. Manitz and Barnes did not.
Car hard into the wall, back inside the top 10. Looks like it's the 98. Caution on the racetrack, JP.
We're back under yellow.
Yeah, it looks like it was the 98 there of Ethan Thompson, overcorrect, and plenty of drivers hard involved in this one. There's the 26 of McCoy. Sorry to step on your JP. I just saw it. There it is on the replay.
See it right here. One more time. Why don't we look this a bit more in depth? How did this contact happen to the wall? Remember, he was one of those who just pit. Oh, he nearly got into Barnes. Then they all slammed up in front of him. A lot of people stacked up. Wise around. You have a few others that take some spins. It was chaos, Zach.
Yeah, it was definitely chaos and calamity on the backstretch there. The 98 with some heavy front right damage there after getting pushed up into the wall and then getting collected by another driver trying to get on through safely. But JP, it was just a matter of a couple cars. You see the 91 also involved, the 26. Gary May able to slow up. Jim Treat able to get on through. There's Corey Powell in the 13 getting on through as well. Burke in the 22 able to keep it pointing in the right direction. We'll go a little farther back. It looks like maybe Ramsey was also involved in the 97.
It was.
Interesting to watch. So he's up there on the top side into turns 3 and 4. Car contact with the 26 of McCoy. But there is the 91 sitting down on pit road right now. Very interesting overall, JP. Just trying to get everyone pointing in the right direction as we cycle back to the front of the field.
And as we come up towards the 50 to go mark in this one, as you can see, the 90 is a part of those that is now up at the front. Thinking about this pit stint wise, he's one of those who just took the time to take some stops. I don't know if it was a full service or not. It was only 9.5 seconds compared to a normal 10.4. But a lot of these drivers talked about how they felt they can extend for another stop with about 40 to go. Barnes is sticking to his guns there on that plan.
Yeah, I think overall Barnes just continued to hold on, right? We talked about it when we interviewed him here up in the Precision Entertainment booth. He did have 2 extra sets left, so we will see when he elects to come down pit road. For the front 2, though, front row Joe and that 90 continuing to stay on the racetrack and control the point. We'll see what Manis does with his crew chief and the conversations down in that Discord channel. Another driver, the 3 of Love. We haven't talked about him a lot tonight. We haven't talked about Harris, but those 2 drivers working their way into the picture up inside the top 10.
Yeah, they've done a good job carving the way through, and they were a part of some of the first on their strategy. It's been doing pretty solid for them so far. That being said, we're coming up to restart time pretty soon. As we get ready for the restart. As you can see, the 90 getting ready to control things again. Conti power play underneath seems to have been working pretty well here tonight. Now the game plan, do you think he stays out for the extended period?
I mean, at the point of this race running right now, if you know you're going to get cautions maybe every 5 laps, I would go as long as the fuel can go. Clutch in whenever you can, turn that car off. But I would be putting that clutch pedal down to the floor every time I'm under caution.
Here we go, restart time. Coming up to the restart. And now we're ready to control things yet again. Look at Manis on the door. Trying to crunch him down a bit. We're backing our way. Take a look as the 90 makes its way to the corner. Everybody trying to make sure they survive off this restart this time. Look at the bubble. Manis going to drop with the older tires, but Domer is making his way up to second. Your points leader.
Yeah, Domer trying to go to the front right now. Works to the inside of Manis down into turn 1 and 2. Domer will get on by, so put him up to P2. Here comes Love now to the bottom of that 35. We'll see if he can get pointed in the right direction. Everyone keeps it pointed through 3 and 4 right now. Front row Joe, though, on the point. Here comes Barnes,
Caution.
too, working.
And again, yellow, yellow. The field is yellow. Let's see the reason. Burke is one with the meatball flag. There are 6 others involved at least. See, this is how Burke got the 1 meatball flag. That is a Sonic coming from the sky. That broke the axle immediately.
Yeah, so a tough day here for Joshua Sonic in that 091. He'll send it off into turn 1 and 2. We'll see if this car gets loose. Looks like that's Echapar that actually tags him twice, drives through him a little bit there on exit, and then overcorrects down into the 22 of Burke, and also collects Corey Powell in that Stuart Friesen looking entry there. And this is the onboard with the 99 now of Chris Echapar. He'll dive it off into the corner. Couple cars contact earlier up, they keep it pointing in the right direction, but a good drive here. But you can see actually farther up the racetrack, there is the car contact, and here's Corey Powell's on board. Hard lick into the inside safer barrier there for the 13.
Into the barrier again. And I believe, as you can see, he's made his way to pit road. He's back to the pit stall. He's taken a lot of stops tonight. We haven't talked about the total number of pit stop counts, and most people you'll see 3, 4, etc. In the case of Powell, who I've seen have some bad luck here tonight, it feels like, over the evening, all you can say is when your count is at least 5, it could be worse. Some of the drivers are up near double digits now.
I mean, I've definitely been there before. Trust me, JP, I've had my fair share of rough nights at the racetrack in terms of league action, but for a lot of these drivers, the good news is when you get all of these cautions, you're going to take plenty of pit stops to fix some damage, right? So the good news is plenty of drivers keeping it clean up towards the front, including Manella, Domer, Manis, Love, and even the taxi driver, right? But towards the back, though, drivers either out of this race still sitting on pit road, and that's the biggest thing right now. And just going through the list while we have the time under caution. Started out the night with Justin Bell. Key's 133 laps down. Joe Conan has parked it. Breland's parked it. Jared Essenberg in the 4's parked it. Vadnais, Dave Allen, Pereira, Marciniak, Patrick Edwards. And then we get into some drivers maintaining on the racetrack. But you remember Thompson, one of those drivers up inside the top 10. And he has 7 laps to his name down right now. And Corey Powell 6 laps down too. So plenty of drivers running into some issues here tonight.
And who's that into the frame? How about a wild J.J. Pope? He's been doing his best here in the field at the least tonight. He was one of those I think you're referring to down in 28th. See him? Interesting seat position. I think he's almost taller than the wheel.
Well, you definitely want to be able to see over that wheel if you are Pope. Looks like a little texting and driving, which is fine here on iRacing as long as it's under caution. So we'll let Pope take care of his cell phone business, and we'll get pointed back in the right direction up at the front. Everyone warming up their stuff. And you got to remember, JP, the season point leader right now for the A Open Series, that is Zach Domer on the outside of row number 1.
It's been a good points night potentially if he keeps it up front is the key thing, because he's been one of those who's been efficient on his passes, been doing well in that manner, and now get to do it again. Here we go from the flag stand this time. Coming up to the restart. This will be about 43 to go. Green, green, green. We're back underway. As you can see, the field keeping itself 2x2. We're running out of cars. If you've noticed, our amount of rows is ever shrinking. We're down to about 15 rows at max. Good start up at the front for the field, but look at that amongst those back there, like Harris and company, 2x2.
Yeah, 2x2. You see Adam Ramsey with some nose damage there, running on the high side right now in 9th. So even with some damage, that Team Ignition entry, that 97 looks quick, trying to dive to the inside here under the 57. This is the battle for 6th right now. Barnes in front, Brad Harris in tow. Here's Williams, Ramsey, Pogue, and the 42 of Jim Treat also in the conversation. A few drivers trying to look to the inside and get back inside the top 10.
See some of their difference in stints. Treat's one of those on fresher tires. Matthews is in that. New fast lap for the 90, mind you. So this is where that cluster of different plots and plannings comes into play. Barnes sticking to probably the next caution for when he pits, for example. Going to try and hug the bottom. That could have potentially hold up Harris, as there goes Poe zipping around Harris as a result.
Yeah, Poe will go to the high side, almost 3 wide onto the backstretch. We'll see how they elect to take turn 3 here. Barnes goes to the bottom, paints the white line. Here's the onboard with the 8 machine on the high side there. He's got 2 drivers in front of him battling for position. That's for P5. That's Manis and Williams as they make their way back into turn 1.
And able to get the jump ahead Listen to how much off throttle time that was. Take a listen. Here, actually, this is a better way to view. He's almost babying his way into the throttle, Poe is, to make sure there's no issue to get up through the gears as they reach traffic.
Yeah, good analysis there. You see Powell get back on the racetrack a few laps down after fixing some damage, back up inside the top 10, though. Side-by-side action, 2 to 3 rows deep. You see Manis leading the charge in P6, Pogue on the high side, and you also have Barnes in conversation starting to fade here. Here comes Harris, though, almost car contact between the 67 and the 27. As you see Barnes start to fade, and this was the conversation you were talking about when we spoke to him earlier. Those tires will eventually wear, and this is the time that he wants to eventually come to pit road. We'll see if he can get that caution.
Mind you, you see the stand is at 35. Here's the thing about his call. I don't know if he makes it if we go green. He's definitely happy to bank on more yellow flags here, because if it does go green, he might be 5-10 laps short unless he saved the ton during caution. Ramsey knocks the wall down meanwhile.
Jim Treat and Adam Ramsey both getting in the wall. Adam Ramsey getting the harder lick out of the two there. Another driver hard in the wall. That's the 91 there of Wise. They keep it all pointing in the right direction. Here's his onboard. The 7 of Matthews scoots on by. Wilson on the bottom there. You also see the 10 of Essenberg working into the picture on the bottom, just inside the top 15 right now. But the biggest question is for everyone on the track, you see the weather conditions coming to play a factor. If you do have to pit, do you pit at some point, or you just wait and pray for the caution?
You lose up to 2 laps if you pit, even with the 10-second pit stop times. I think that is definitely going to be about a factor on that decision-making play for some of these drivers, absolutely. I don't know if a lot of these cars, if you definitely pit, will come down again when we're talking to people in the 20-lap stints plus, like a majority of your leaders are. They might stay out if it goes green the rest of the way, obviously. But if they have a set, they'll try and use it. After all, at least half, if not 3/4 of the leaders still have a set.
Well, they'll work back onto the front stretch. 32 laps to go here at Iowa for the Major League Sim Racing A Open Series. And for Van Alstyne there, the taxi driver, just continuing to make some laps and turn some laps here. We'll work on the backstretch, and one driver working into view into his rearview mirror there is the 57 of Williams. You also have Pogue there in the 8. And JP, I think everyone's just trying to settle in now and get a green flag running.
I think so too, and really, when it comes to a battle like this one, it comes down to who's got more consistency for the long run, who's going to make sure their Goodyear Eagles do not melt. Mind you, you think about this, stint-wise, that's not the concern if you're in this pack. But obviously, if you're a part of those on the lap count, look at the differences on times. They're pretty close to each other on lap times at the moment in this fight amongst this top 4, and this is where it's hard to differentiate, especially in dirty air.
Well, yeah, it comes down to dirty air. It also comes down to all 4 of those drivers from 4th to 7th trying to maintain those Goodyear Eagles, right? No one wanting to push right now. Of course, the 8 trying to work around the 57 as I say that, but overall, it's just maintaining your stuff. You still have to go 30 to 29 laps here before you see either a checkered flag or maybe a caution. So the biggest thing is maintaining the Eagles that you're currently on.
Exactly here, and look at Poe going underneath. There goes the 8 to make a pass. Can he get it done this time from the inside? He's really giving some space there. I don't think the 8 realizes he can track up a little bit higher here in these sends.
A side-by-side battle, a good view there of the 57 working on the high side, and with the 8 going to the bottom, they'll work down into turn 3 and 4. About 3 grooves there in that new pavement before it widens out on corner exit. And the good thing here, JP, is the 57 still has that run and is able to maintain that spot.
Yeah, that's the thing about the outside. Sometimes when you have pretty similar equipment, you can use that line to defend for a fair bit amount of time, actually. The Georgian Company machine has done a good job making sure to do that, it feels like. But again, only so long you can do on that line in theory before that happens to be an issue. By the way, Barnes is also got an attack by Echipar as they battle out with the Ignition versus Ideal cars. A little bit of a tight moment. The 27 was standing. Mind you, the 8 is already cleared on buying their battle.
Yeah, so move the 8 up to P5 right now. Back to the battle, though, outside the top 10 looking in. It's the 99 of Echapar around the high side. Barnes continuing to hold on and try to maintain position. He is fading. And JP, one thing to bring up, Barnes is second in points, just 4 points back coming into tonight's race behind Zach Domer, who currently runs third on track. So this would be a big swing for the points. Just in general, obviously based on how they run on track right now with 25 laps to go.
Especially when you consider Barnes started off with this season in the top 10. He's been basically a top 10 machine in all his races. And as a driver, you can tell he's one of the drivers that's been pretty solid on long runs. Of course, his time, meanwhile, things getting a little bit argy-bargy around here. It's around 15th. Look at that. Wilson Jr.'s up on the wall.
Yeah, Wilson Jr. running in 14th right now. He will fade a couple spots. We'll see if any other drivers like Christopher Reel are able to work around him. You see the 64 of Cydrus also damaged on the front end as the 43 goes around him on the high side. So 2x2 battles right now for around 15th as Wilson still struggling to hold on there on the high side. And there is Christopher Reel, the Fire for Effect Foundation on board of that car. A good cause there for them, helping out all of the military and first responders that they have working in that ARCA League here at Major League Sim Racing. So cool to see him dialed in into the sim. He's got the same setup I got actually, JP. Nice little sim cockpit there.
Yeah, nice little run he's put on. It's been a bit of a rough one at times, but don't forget, up at the front, remember you said don't forget about Love? Well, he's saying, why not see Love go to the top of the board? The 3 is within a quarter of a second or so of your race lead.
Well, I'm sure Love would love to see that, right? Going to the front, Jamel Love doing a solid job in the 3. You see the lap time difference there, just 3:10 separate those two drivers, but he is quicker by almost 6/100ths there. So not a big difference in lap times, but enough to make it a conversation. But dirty air is starting to play a factor here as we work back onto the front stretch.
I think it's going to become a major factor unless he tries to switch something up here. Take a look for the onboard. See, he got the headlight out. Little difference on boost of a run here, if you will. The 90 seems to be trying to make sure to roll a bit more, but you can see Love is trying that diamond arc. Try and get the center down, get the headlight out for the exit. I think it's still about equal. That time by, the interval was about the same as the last time by.
Well, it's equal in terms of lap times, but it's not equal in terms of tire wear overall. And I think the biggest thing for the 3 is if you start diamonding that corner, when you see him enter, he's going to dive down deeper, though, into turn 3 and 4. But if you see him start diamonding that entry, look at how he wiggles a little bit here on corner exit as they come over onto the transition on the front stretch. And you're going to get more and more tire wear on those right rear tires. So that's going to be something to note as we get deeper into this run. 17 laps to go here, JP, and it's going to get interesting for the race lead.
Here we go. He's going for the send up at the front. Can Love make the pass? Manila trying to use the middle. Side by side, coming to 16 laps to go. Lap traffic is in front. Pope is in front of the leaders. Looks like the 90 able to slam the door down as there goes the 82 up the racetrack. That will take away the exit chance.
Yeah, that got a little dicey there for your 2 top runners right now as the 82 gets out of the way. And these 2 cars will do battle now. You also see back deeper in the field, the taxi driver up to P3. Domer back in P4 running a different higher line, trying to search for grip right now with 15 laps to go. He will tuck in behind the taxi man, Van Alstyne. It's going to get interesting right now, back up to the race lead.
See the attempt once again to try the different line again for Love. We're coming around what's going to be 14 laps to go. Here's a look on board. He is way off the throttle. That was the one thing we talked about earlier. 1 and 2, he lets it roll a ton still.
Yeah, JP, I think the biggest thing overall is you got to attack both sets of corners a little differently here with the track layout. At this short track that does drive like an intermediate, he's going to let it roll here. So does the 90. He's going to get very close to that bumper, within a tenth almost. And he'll get back on the loud pedal onto the backstretch, but slipping and sliding there is the 3 as they work into turn 3 one more time.
Again, near bumper. This time the poke to the inside. 12 to go at the line. Love gets alongside for a quick moment. Will this work on this end? Little poke, a little prob yet again. Now they bump. Now to the door once again. Love gets loose, saves it. Now he'll have to reset for a second time.
He was almost able to get there, JP. He will get to the rear tire there, get a little loose on the bobble. The 90 will pull away, make the 10th now up to 2/10 as they work back into turn number 1. But I think the biggest thing overall is Love does have that speed. If he can get around the 90 and maybe use the bumper maybe one more time, I'm not encouraging it, but we've seen it before. If he moves the 90 up the racetrack, could he get the run? He'll look this time.
There's a poke right to the rear. Lap traffic ahead. That's side Russ. Will the Ideal Machine be able to move alongside? Manella able to clear through the corner. And yes, indeed, they're up back to single file. Less than 10 laps to go.
Both of these drivers starting to put on a show. You see the 3 go to the 3rd lane there in turns 3 and 4. Off the rear bumper here, we'll go to the cockpit. A little sideways, a little bobble there, JP, going in back into turn number 1.
You see some of the time difference picked up before. Now he's on the curb. Now around he goes loose. 3 with the slide, and that might be his chances. Love gets loose. We stay green.
Unfortunately there, JP, we'll go to the replay real quick. The 3, we were riding on board here. He's going to get a little bit lower, get on that apron, and that's just going to upset the car, unload all the weight, send him sideways, but he will hold on to P2 as we run right now. But for Front Row Joe, the biggest question is, with 8 laps to go, can you start getting through the lap traffic, and can everyone keep it pointing in the right direction? He does not want to see the yellow right now as he works onto the front stretch.
He's got a gap of 1.5 seconds now that Love's tires have completely torched themselves. As a result, things have spread apart. Much of the field, in fact, has gotten some separation. But right now, 6 to go at the stripe. Domer amongst those looking at a good points day. They are still in the midst of heavy traffic. Domer is amongst those in the first in the pack still.
Yeah, well, you talk about a points day. You talk about Domer currently P4 right now with a couple drivers breathing down the neck down into turn 1 and 2. Where's the update on Christian Barnes? Back to P12 right now. So your 2 top runners right now as we speak in the championship hunt. As we work into race 4, there is Barnes on that old set of tires now up to 11th. Looks like Manis will bring it down pit road with 6 laps to go.
There he goes. Manis could not make it, and I don't think Barnes can make it either. When does Barnes make his call? He needs a caution dance and then some to have any shot. We have his teammate slow on the front straightaway. We stay green. That was side Russ.
5 laps to go right now. You saw his teammate from Ideal Racing get a little loose out of turn 4. Keeps it pointing in the right direction, gets it off the racing surface. There he is slow down in turn 1 and 2. We'll stay on the 64 to see if he can make it back to pit road. 4 laps to go though. There is your race leader. The 90 now works back into turn 3 and 4. And JP, he's got clear sights, almost a second gap back to the third place, or the second place car of Love.
Absolutely, as we turn right now, Manella down to the final 3 laps here from tonight's coverage from Iowa. Of note, Poe battling with Domer. One of the final battles of the day. Side by side they work. Someone wants a top 5. Anybody wants a top 5 every day. And the 8 takes it.
I mean, I would take a top 5 whenever I could get one. Move the 8 up into P5. Domer back to 6. Back up front, though. Front row, Joe Manella doing a solid job here tonight. 2 laps to go. He'll work onto the backstretch. He'll get a little loose though, get out into the outside wall, keeps it pointing in the right direction. You got to think here. You see the 3 starting to come into play. This is going to get interesting here on the final lap, JP.
What happened there for a moment? The 90, remember, they're tight on gas maybe. This window was expected to go to 60. It's the final time around. Joe Manella looking to try and make sure the car gets to the finish. He dropped 4/10 last time. It's looking good coming to the final section. Coming up to the checker flag, Joe Manella gets the win at Iowa. Brad Harris got the line by about 9/1,000 just about in the battle for third with Phil Olstein. That was close there for the top 3.
Yeah, they made their way out onto the front stretch, and it was a side-by-side battle, and give it to the 67 there of Harris doing a solid job driving up through the top 5 there. But for front row Joe, good opportunity to start burning it down on the front stretch.
For Joe, good night for him. See the number. He led a lot of laps tonight, about 83. And it's celebration time for the 90 here tonight from Iowa. Good little burnout, trying to go around the entire grandstand section of the racetrack and use all of the real estate he can, a part of that celebration here tonight. As he celebrates tonight's festivities, there's a lot to talk about, obviously, after this one. But in the end, the 90 was just one of the strongest cars in the field.
Yeah, the 90 was definitely one of the drivers to beat overall, and it's going to be exciting to see how he can start putting together some races as we go deeper into the regular season. He'll park it on the front stretch and burn it down one more time. And I think the biggest thing, JP, is he was fast all night and he was able to get through the caution fest a little bit and settle in here for the race win.
Barney doesn't get the best of angles, but you do, as he burns it down on the front straightaway. With that being said, it's time to look at some race results tonight, as the field unofficially looks like this. Joe Manella comes away with the win unofficially over Love. Then it's Harris in the top 3. We'll speak with them in a few moments' time. Also in the order tonight, Van Elstein and Poe get themselves top 5s. Domer, Matthews, John Williams in 8th. Treat, Etchipar in the top 10.
Yeah, we'll look outside the top 10. Looking in, Christian Barnes in the 27 goes 11th. Christopher Reel, 12th. Adam Ramsey in the 97, 13th. Christopher Toppins there with a 14th place finish. Dallas Manis had to pit. He'll go 1 lap down, finish 15th. Joshua Wise with trouble at the late end of this race in the 91, finished 16th. Gary May, 17th place finish. Richard Wilson Jr. in the 28 goes 2 laps down in 18th. Chasen McCook, a tough day for him, goes 19th. And Dakota Sidris in the 64 finishes 20th.
Throw it down the order, that's where you find one of the Essenbergs here tonight. That's Joseph in particular that you see down the order. J.J. Pope, Corey Powell, Sonic, Ethan Thompson, top 25. Burke, McCoy, Sr. Then Coggin, Edwards, Patrick amongst your top 30. Rest of the field look like this here tonight. Then Marciniak down the order. You have Pereira, have some rough moments early on. Dave Allen, along with some of the others, the 24, 4, 11, 72. A part of those wishing what could have been. And Justin Bell only made it a lap here tonight. Good opportunities for some, but it was attrition for others. In the end, your race winner tonight, front row Joe. We spoke with him earlier. Yes, I believe is in a happy mood. Joe, how would you describe that battle to the end between you and Love?
Man, I don't even know where to start because, my right front was gone, absolutely gone. I was holding on for dear life there. And, when he came up and tried to do the little bump and run with me, I thought he was going to clear me in that next corner in 4, and I was able to drive off better and clear him there. And then I think he got loose a few times, which built my lead. But man, it's a fun battle. Jamel, he's an awesome driver. We were just talking in the interview waiting room, and he was giving me respect. I was giving him respect because we raced each other clean there for the end.
It was an impressive drive for you, but who do you want to shout out on the way to pick up the win here today in MLSR?
Man, I just want to thank Adam for putting on the league. You guys for doing the broadcast. Thank my sponsors, Team Conti Sim Performance, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Crime Stoppers, and it was a really exciting day for me to come out here and get the win and represent my teams.
Congratulations on the run here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Joe seems pretty happy, to say the very least, with the win here tonight. Zach, you've caught up with the other end of the battle. Love in second.
Yeah, speaking of love, obviously would love to have a win here, but we'll settle for P2. And Jamel, you're doing a great job here this season, and talk about the race so far for you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. This is the first complete race for me. I've had pace in every race I've been in. Indy kind of, was leading there and then got wrecked early, and then Auto Club was leading there and got wrecked near the end. And so this was the first complete race for me. I definitely had the pace to get by Joe. I was just trying to I was getting really loose on exit there towards the end of the run. I could tell he was pushing the center. So I thought I was going to get by him in the closing laps, but I kind of had a driver mistake there off of 2, and I think that was all he needed. But I got pretty close. It was a great run with him. I'm just glad I was able to avoid any trouble. And I ended up with 2 sets of tires left there. I ran that first set entirely in the back on just the same set of tires to try to play some strategy. So glad it worked out. Glad I could get a good finish. And looking forward to Richmond.
Yeah, well, congrats on obviously getting your complete race in and finishing on the podium there. Anyone you want to thank? Thank the ASR racing team, a bunch of good guys there who kind of brought me on here to MLS. And and thanks for folk for putting on this league. And started off a little choppy there in this race, but I think as a couple of the races have shown, once we kind of get some attrition, the races get really good. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you 100%. Congrats on the P2 finish. We'll see you next week at Richmond.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you to Jamel. Love doing a solid job there for the P2 finish. We'll send it over to JP with Brad Harris for P3.
Yes, indeed. Brad Harris coming away with the 3rd spot here tonight. Brad, how would you describe the efforts here tonight? Because you had a pretty quiet one. You were one of the biggest movers, if not the biggest on the night.
I wouldn't say it was quiet on my end. I avoided quite a few things back there, but I was really hoping to get the long run at the end. That's what my car was set up for. And just kind of roll the bottom and make my way through and just kind of run my own race. That's kind of what you got to do here.
Now, obviously, next couple weeks are going to be interesting with Richmond. Who are you going to give a shout out to as you prepare for Richmond next week?
Just going to give a shout out to Team Quack Pat. We do really good. I feel like we're pretty good on the setups wise and paints and all that. I think we look pretty good out there. But no, it's nice when you actually get out there and run some clean laps with everybody, and once you get through that trash at the beginning.
Congratulations on the run tonight.
Appreciate it, man.
Brad Harris completes our top 3 discussions here tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the top time to speak with us during post-race coverage here tonight on Precision. Quick final thoughts tonight here in this one, Zach, as we close things up in the next moments.
I think overall, JP, the biggest thing is we saw the cautions, right? We did see it, and unfortunately did hinder some of the race strategy involved there, but we did see 2 good, solid runs there, and I think next week we go to another short track, right? So hopefully this field settles in, gets some test time, and gets ready to go for a short track, and that'll be a fun one at Richmond next week.
Yes, indeed. That'll be August the 23rd. Remember the date. That's an 8 p.m. start time. Be sure to tune in here on Precision Entertainment for what's going to be a fun weekend for the entire pack from start to finish. But it's time to say goodnight for tonight's coverage here on Precision. I've been Justin Prince, alongside the booth tonight, Zach Case, with using cameras provided by Whiplash Sim Cams for this evening's coverage of Major League Sim Racing. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for tonight. We'll see you next time we go to Richmond. Congratulations to Joe Manella, coming away with the win. Front Row Joe gets it done at Iowa.